about the law. And it's deeply needed in the grace circles because gross misunderstandings about the law have now led to massive error in so many other places.
Sure.
But Paul said the law is not against the promises of God. The law is not evil. The law is not sin. The law is not what brought death into the world. The law revealed what brings death into the world. And we talk about the law being the ministration of death, but the law didn't minister death to Jesus in the sense it killed him. You know how the law ministered death to Jesus? It caused him to consider himself dead to a life of trying to be justified through his flesh. He considered himself dead to the life he could have through the strength of the flesh when he read the law. You know, when Jesus read the law, do you know what the law told him? Abba will not steal from you. Abba will not kill from you. Abba will not abandon you. Abba will not forsake you. Abba will not leave you in the grave. Abba will not suffer your soul to remain in Hades. That's what he saw the law telling him, and that law put him to rest. It caused him to enter into rest, which is the first part of the law.
Right.
Which is to rest.
Right.
And so when Jesus read the law, he didn't read it from the carnal mind. There's two different ways you could read the law. If you read the law from the carnal mind, then that will cause the law to bring forth the fruit of death in you. But if you read the law through the spiritual mind, the law will not produce the fruit of death in you. The law will actually cause you to consider yourself dead to the flesh. If you're reading it through the spiritual eyes. Paul said it this way. He said, we're carnal, sold under sin, and we know that the law is spiritual.
Yes, he did.
So that's the teaching then. That's the teaching I was talking about. It says it teaches us something.
Yes.
That's what
It teaches us, it actually teaches you about Abba. Jesus only had the law. He didn't have the New Testament.
No.
When Jesus read the law, it taught him about Abba. It brought forth rest in him when he looked at the law. Jesus didn't read the law and say, well, I'm not supposed to steal, I'm not supposed to kill, I'm not supposed to destroy. That's not what Jesus saw. Jesus saw the law telling him something about Abba, and something about what Abba thought of him, and something about Abba's righteousness towards him.
Right.
That's what he saw. Well, when he saw all that from the law, do you know what it brought forth in him? Rest.
Yeah, right.
It caused him to rest. It put his flesh to rest. But if you try to read the law from a carnal mind, then it's going to speak to your flesh, and it's going to cause you to enlist your flesh to try to have life. That's why in Romans 8, when Paul gets into Romans 8, he doesn't say that it's the law that's enmity against God. He doesn't say that. He says it's the carnal mind that's enmity against God.
Exactly.
So it isn't the law that is evil. The law is not evil. If you read the law with the mind of Christ, you're going to see grace. That's what you're going to see. And some people are getting all confused now because for so long, just trying to understand that we're not under the law, we've kind of made it seem as if the law is the devil.
Yes, you're right.
The law is not the devil. And right now everybody's going to say, oh yeah, that's true what you just say right now. I'm about to say it right now. The Bible over and over says the law was a shadow of Christ. So everything in the law is actually a shadow of Christ. So if it's a shadow of Christ, how are we going to come now and say it's evil?
You can't.
What's evil is the carnal mind.
Yes.
Huh.
The carnal mind is evil. So if you read the law with the carnal mind, it's going to bring forth all death in you. But if you read the law from the mind of Christ, you're going to see Christ everywhere in there, and you're going to receive grace upon grace. Because the law was a shadow, pointing to Jesus, which means everything in the law was speaking of something concerning Christ. Like I talked about this the other night at the Bible study, but the Feast of First Fruits. I was talking about the resurrection. So when Jesus saw the first fruits in the law, he didn't say, my goodness, I need to bring a first fruit to God so that he'll bless me. He said, my goodness, I am going to be the first fruit of God. He's going to come and raise me from the dead.
Yes.
Do you see? Completely different. See, he read it with the spiritual mind. And the spiritual mind, when it reads about the Feast of First Fruit, it told him about how there was going to be new life born, and that new life was going to come forth in him, and it was going to come from God bringing it forth and raising him up from the dead, and he was going to be the first fruit of God's children.
Yeah.
That's what he saw. That put him to rest.
Sure.
But if I have the carnal mind, I'm going to read that Feast of First Fruit, and I'm going to think it's
Yeah.
talking about how I got to
Yeah.
bring my best gift to God to start the new year off so I can be blessed. That's going to bring forth death in me. So do you see how when you look at it with the spiritual eyes, it brings forth life? You look at it with the carnal mind, it brings forth death.
Yes.
Holy smokes.